Hello and welcome to this edition of Draw It and Know It. I'm cartoonist and illustrator Dan Letha for the ministry Reasons for Hope. And today, this is an art lesson edition, and it is a step-by-step how to draw an anglerfish. So, get ready to draw a really ugly but super cool fish. Alright, let's get drawing. So, today we're going to start out with my sketch pencil first, and it's kind of a grayish blue. You can use a pencil to draw these guidelines first, and the first shape that we're drawing is sort of a long diamond shape, and so we've got four kind of straight lines. There's line number 3, goes all the way back there, and then that one connects those lines. So sort of a long elongated diamond shape, and the anglerfish is very, very interesting, and we're going to draw the top of the mouth right here. So that's the sketch line for the location of the top of the mouth, and then there's the bottom of the mouth, and then we're going to draw the inside of the bottom jaw, and then we're making some adjustments on the nose section of the anglerfish, and I'm excited to tell you some details about the anglerfish when we get to the coloring stage. That's kind of the area for the eye right there, and then we're gonna draw the kind of the gill area, and then there's a fin that goes right off of that gill. So we're going to start out by drawing a circle, and then we're going to connect that circle to the gill area with these two lines. There you go. And then we're going to draw another kind of oval right here, and that's going to be the fin part of the fin. So we've got the part that holds the fin part, and then we've got the fin part. So again, just roughing these things in. And then there's another fin at the top of the back of the anglerfish. And then another, we're going to scooch this over a little bit to give some more room for the tail. The tail's long and thin, so draw these two lines here. And then we're going to draw sort of the shape of the back. And then we're going to draw some guidelines here that'll help us ink later on more of the detail of the fins. And then there's one more fin right here, kind of the back of the bottom of the anglerfish. And then again, some guidelines that'll help us draw more of the fin detail when we do the inks. We're going to do the same for this fin right here. So just some lines that give us an idea of some of the detail of those fins. And then we'll do the same for this fin right here. This fin kind of fans out. The other ones are more straight, but these lines will be very, very helpful for us when we ink our anglerfish. Now the anglerfish is called that because it has kind of a fishing pole sticking out of the middle of its forehead. And it's a very interesting device that God has designed on the anglerfish. So draw it something like that. And then the anglerfish has big, sharp teeth on the front. And we're making it kind of simple here. If you look at the photographs of some of the anglerfish, they've got a lot of teeth and all very, very sharp. So we got the upper jaw, and then with the lower jaw. So we're going to draw in. Some of the teeth are shorter, some of them are longer. So you don't have to draw them exactly like I am, but this gives you the idea of the look of the anglerfish teeth. Now I'm drawing some of the bottom jaw teeth on the other side. Alright, so we've got our guidelines there. We're going to adjust the bottom jaw a little bit, make it puff out just a little bit more from what I have there. So that's more of a true incline for where the incline will be. Alright, so now I'm going to make the guidelines that I've drawn not so easy to see, so we can draw over the top of them with my ink pen. So I'm getting my digital ink pen out now, and I'm going to start inking on the anglerfish. We're going to start with the kind of the front nose, upper lip area, upper jaw. Draw a line that goes down there. We're going to extend that line just a little bit. There we go. And now the bottom jawline, at the bottom of the mouth anyway. And then we're going to go down that lower lip and that under that jaw. You'll notice that the anglerfish is mostly mouth. And there's a good reason for that. And now that gill kind of curves around a little bit, so we're using that guideline as kind of a general reference, and the ink lines are more specific, more accurate. And then that fin arm kind of a thing that holds the fin on it, right there attached to the gill, or the gill area. And then the fin itself kind of goes around like that, comes back, and then we're going to use those guidelines, like I said before, to draw in there's these little support areas of the fin that give it strength, even though it's thin, and that's what the fin looks like. And then the bottom of the back of the anglerfish, we're going to stop right there, and then the back actually doesn't go to a point. So we're rounding it off a little bit. And we'll keep drawing the top of the fish right there. Go down, leave room for that fishing pole, and the eye bump, kind of an eye ridge up on top there. And now line number 1, and then go around with that line, and come all the way back for that special structure that we'll talk about in a little bit. Then there's kind of a shape inside that end knob that's a very special structure again. Now the teeth will kind of follow the lines that we laid down for the teeth. We'll use those lines for the ink. The anglerfish has very distinctly long, sharp teeth. This makes it almost kind of look like sort of a monster fish. Something you'd see in maybe a bad dream, but these fish are very, very real. And they live in a very interesting part of the ocean. A part of the ocean we don't know a lot about. So there we go. The teeth, at least the ones in the front. Now I'm inking the ones that are on the other side of the bottom jaw. So we're getting a little bit of detail here. This fish usually don't have a lot of detail to them, like other animals have legs and fur and all kinds of things. Fish are fairly easy to draw. So and then we're going to do the eye. Start around the bottom, and then we're going to ink around, and then when we get to that, we're going to keep going right there. So that's more of the look of the anglerfish. Now pay attention to how I'm doing the eye right here, because I'm going to leave that reflection up on the top, and there's a good reason for that too. So when you color in that eye pupil, leave that reflection at the top of the eye. Then that top back fin has a little bit of a curve to the top of it, and go back down, and again use those guidelines that we made earlier for that fin detail. These ones pretty much go up and down, so there we go. And then that bottom fin has kind of a rougher ending look to it, and then ink those structure lines of the fin. And then the tail fin, long and thin, And again, there's some extra detail there on the very end of it. A little more accurate to the real shape of that fin. And then those structure lines. So we're getting close to the coloring stage here, which I use to give more information about the animal. So, all right, now we're gonna make the sketch part go away, and I'm going to do some coloring now. And I'm going to do some coloring that's a little bit different from what maybe you're able to do with markers or crayons. I'm going to use my digital airbrush to do some of the coloring because there's some special effects that I want to use for the anglerfish that most of you probably wouldn't be able to do so well. So just be prepared for that. And so here we go with the coloring. The coloring is, this fish is about a brown color. Some of the anglerfish are different colors, but this one's more of a brownish color. Anglerfishes, there's over 200 known species of anglerfish, and they're all kinds of different shapes and sizes. They can go up to 110 pounds. And then some of them are about almost 3.5 feet long, but most of them are under 1 foot long. Now, one of the amazing things about the anglerfish is that, as you see here, I'm coloring in the water very dark because they live in an area of the ocean called the bathypelagic zone. And so some people call that the midnight zone of the ocean because light, it's so deep in the ocean, about 3,300 to 13,000 feet deep, very far down under the surface, that sunlight doesn't make it all the way down there. So the midnight zone is very dark. So these fish are created, and they've adapted to live in this very, very dark area of the ocean. And so the anglerfish in particular has some very interesting tools to use as it lives down in this area of the ocean. And its mouth is made very, very huge because the fish that live in that area of the ocean don't eat very much. They don't have a lot of opportunity to eat. And so when they do, they want to make good opportunity about what comes along and what they can eat. And sometimes those creatures are even bigger than the fish that needs to eat it. So the anglerfish can actually eat something up to twice its body size. And so that mouth opens up and it gulps that creature that it's eating. And the stomach can distend out and stretch out. And so it can fit some creature, another fish or something, inside it that's quite a bit larger. Now that fishing pole that's up at the top has a bait on the top that actually glows. There's some bioluminescent bacteria that actually live inside that special area on the anglerfish. And so down in the dark area of the ocean, this anglerfish has this special tool on it that glows in the dark. And so there's other fish that are looking for something to eat. And so some other fish will see this glowing thing and they'll get curious and they'll come over to it and they'll get really close and take a look. And that's the end of that fish because the anglerfish opens its mouth and sucks that fish right in there. And so God has designed anglerfish to be fishers of fish in a sense, because that's how they make their living. In a sense, they have to fish. Now, I have a question for you. The fish that I've drawn here, the anglerfish, is that a boy fish or a girl fish? And the other mystery that we have here is there's another fish that I'm drawing here. What is this fish? Is this fish going to be food? Is it looking at the bait that's glowing in the dark? Or is it something else? Actually, it's actually something else because this anglerfish that you're looking at, the one with the big fishing pole that glows in the dark is actually a female. So the females and the males are very, very easy to tell apart because it's only the female that has that really cool fishing pole on it. And the male anglerfish doesn't have one of those at all. In fact, the male anglerfish, which is what I'm drawing right now, is super small compared to the very large, in comparison, female anglerfish. And that's one of the really crazy, interesting design features of the anglerfish, is because the female is so much larger than the male, and the male doesn't fish at all. In fact, it's really one of the strangest things in the animal kingdom, because the male is very, very tiny in comparison in size. And so when the male hatches, when it's a young little fish, it goes through some growth stages, and then it eventually loses the ability to eat. And so you think, well, how does the male anglerfish live? Well, it has to go find a female, and then the male anglerfish will actually swim up to the female and bite it. It'll bite down on the female anglerfish, and then it releases some enzymes that starts to dissolve the male anglerfish, and that male anglerfish will actually start to become part of the female anglerfish. It'll share the same blood supply, and it'll actually start to just disappear, and it becomes part of the female anglerfish reproductive system. And it's, again, really, really strange, but this is the way that God designed the anglerfish. And a female anglerfish can actually have up to around 6 male anglerfishes that have become part of the female's anglerfish body. So again, very, very interesting. The males are usually about 10 times smaller than the females. And here's another thing that's very interesting too. The anglerfish doesn't have, as far as we can tell, scientists tell that the anglerfish doesn't have an immune system, which is really odd because they don't know how it doesn't come up with diseases. But I know that one thing that this is good for is because then it doesn't reject, the female doesn't reject the male when it becomes part of the female's body. So that immune system might otherwise cause them to reject each other, but it doesn't, and God has made it that way so that they can live. So the anglerfish is a very, very interesting fish. And there's part of the anglerfish that kind of reminds me of Christians, in a sense. Because think about this. Christians are supposed to be light in a dark world. And we're supposed to shine, let this light of Christ shine and attract others to ourselves, right? And so, like an anglerfish does that with other fish, except that anglerfish ends up eating the other fish, we as Christians are supposed to share good news with other people and let our light that Christ gives us shine in the dark world and give other people hope and share the gospel with them. So when you see an anglerfish, think about this light that we're supposed to shine, and we're not supposed to, chomp down on people or do violent things to people like that, but we're supposed to share good news. But God has designed the anglerfish as a very, very unique part of His creation. And Lord, thank you for making the anglerfish so very interesting. So thank you for joining me on today's Draw It and Know It. Join us next time for some drawings of some very interesting creatures that our Creator has made. Have a great day.